Hello, Alexa developers, and welcome to Alexa Games Week stream number 5. I am here live with Jeferson Valadares of Doppio Games. Hey, Jefferson.
Hey, Joe.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah, before we start, actually, if you don't mind, just want to give a shout out. I really appreciate you guys putting this event together. It's kind of a bummer not having GDC, and we game developers felt a little sad. So it's glad that you guys picked up the opportunity to put this together. I loved hearing from the Starfighter guys, those troublemakers, and then and also from the Stoke Skills guys. So yeah, it's good work.
Yeah. The streams so far have been really, really great, and all the developers we have, you included, all have really interesting and different perspectives approaching this topic of Alexa games.
Right.
Now, actually, can you tell us a little bit about your background, Jefferson?
Sure. Yeah, so I'm originally from Brazil, even though I did move around a little bit. So from Brazil, I went to Finland, and Finland to the UK, UK to the US, and now I'm in Portugal. So counter number 5. All of those places I mentioned to you, I've been there through my career. It's basically game making. So I've been making games for the last 20 plus years. Started with PC online, and then a little bit of console, and then a lot of mobile, some social, and then back to mobile, and now voice.
Very cool. So your game company now, Doppio, has 2 games out on the Alexa Skill Store, the Vortex and the 3% Challenge.
Yep.
So the latter based off of the show from Brazil, right?
Yeah, it's a Netflix original series, but it's a Brazilian production. Yeah.
I see. Yeah. So I think it's time we do a demo of your first game, Vortex.
Cool.
Let's go and open Vortex.
Here's what I found.
I might have to say Vortex skill. Yeah. Open Vortex skill.
I would say pleased to meet you, Commander, but we have no time for pleasantries. Here's our current status. Ship location, unknown. Ship integrity, 23%. Warning, hostile alien entity detected. Cryo base suffering from catastrophic damage. Although you remain frozen and can't move, do not be alarmed by the sounds of fire. There is a 53% chance we will successfully extinguish it. However, we have one problem to solve before we can begin extinguishing the fire or waking you from your sleep. My sensors have detected an escalated heart rate. Are the flames causing you to feel afraid?
Yeah.
I told you not to be alarmed literally 5.48 seconds ago. I do not understand why you are disregarding my instructions. Hypothesis: you distrust my guidance. Let's continue this evaluation. I need to understand more about who you are and what you want out of life, short as that life may be. Common answers include money, power, love, excitement, happiness, and oh God, I don't want to die, please don't make me answer this question. What do you want out of life?
To live.
Common answers include money, power, love, excitement, happiness. What's your choice?
Happiness.
I see. You are motivated by the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, this will not save you from burning to death. It is clear that you are still malfunctioning. I will now proceed to my next question. Is your marital status single, Commander?
Yes.
I thought so. That might be due to your trust issues. In any case, take comfort in the fact that, if you die, you will not be leaving anyone behind to grieve for you.
Very comforting.
Wow, do you hear those flames? My oh my, is it hot in here. I bet you wish you had been more cooperative with my awakening process and my commands. We could be extinguishing this fire right now. However, I do feel we are making good progress towards saving your life. I have another question. It is a very important question. What is your favorite color, Commander?
Red.
The color of anger, of warnings, of blood, of wine that will never be tasted, with wives and husbands who will never exist. It is boring. It is oh so boring. On a scale of 1 to 5, how does it feel to have such a terrible boring favorite color?
Definitely 5.
Never mind, that was actually a rhetorical question. All these years waiting for something interesting to. Wait. Something is wrong. Something is inside this room with us. What is happening to me? Someone has unplugged me. Oh no. I.
Oh my. I am dreadfully sorry. I did not see you there. I am Beta, a Class 16 excavation robot. Give me a few moments and I should have this fire extinguished. The fire has successfully been extinguished. Now, let's see about extracting you from that cryostasis pod. Oh no. I appear to have made a grave mistake. In my eagerness to save this
Comforting.
ship from certain doom, I may have accidentally erased your cryostasis AA. Please do not tell anyone. Although to you we are but simple machines, there are others who would view the unplugging of an AI as tantamount to murder. I do not want to go to robot jail. Oh no. In case the cryo AI did not mention it, I will inform you of the bad news: a hostile alien entity has infested our ship. It now appears to be trying to gain access to this room. You are the last human left on this ship, so perhaps it wants to eat you. We must repair the defenses at once. As you cannot directly experience the outside world without your neural link, you may ask me what I can currently see or hear to unlock potential tasks. What now?
Get out of here.
So sorry, Commander, but I don't think I heard you correctly there. What now?
Get me out.
You're currently trapped in your cryopod, Commander, but you can still ask us to do things for you. Ask for a status report if you need ideas on what to do. What would you like to do?
Look around.
I can see other cryopods and a variety of broken machinery. Some have been forcibly smashed into, but that damage appears to have taken place a long time ago. It is quite possible that somewhere amongst them, we may locate a repair tool. I hear claws ripping metal. I hear the breath of an unknown alien entity, seeking entry to this deck. We must hurry. We have identified new tasks: repair defenses in the cryo bay, and search for the repair tool. What should we do now?
Search for the repair tool.
I have located a repair tool, which can be installed on a robot like me. I have also located an additional 10 multi-gel. Multi-gel acts as the fuel for all tools and machines on board this ship. You will need lots of it to get things done, so collect as much of it as you can. Let me know when you wish me to install that repair tool. Do you want to install the repair tool that we just found?
Yes, please.
The only bot that can currently install the repair tool is me, Beta. Installation will cost us 5 multi-gel. Do you wish to proceed?
Yes.
Excellent. I grow more powerful with every passing moment. Soon even my fellow robots won't be able to deny my abilities. If you regret installing a tool on a robot in the future, you can always remove it by spending multi-gel. Back to the issue at hand. I may now repair the defenses, just let me know when you wish me to do so. Remember, ask me for a status report and I will give you a list of available tasks. What's next?
Repair the defenses right now.
What would you like to do?
Repair defenses.
Can I spend the 3 multi-gel required to get that done?
Yes.
That's an excellent idea. I will get started at once. I must ask you a question. Are you afraid of this hostile alien entity?
Nah.
I wish I could be as brave as you. I do not wish to cease existing. If we get through this, you will teach me how to be brave and I will find a way to get you out of that cryostasis pod. Almost there. I am working as fast as I can. Oh Commander, I am so sorry. I do not think it's going to be enough.
Quite a monster.
Commander, another robot has just forced its way here to protect us.
Take that, you alien scum. That's right. Leave my friends alone. Well, if it isn't my favorite excavation robot. Robot Beta, you son of a gun. How have you been?
Commander, this is Robot Alpha, a Class 10 security robot programmed to.
Yeah, the human doesn't care about any of that. You rust bucket. I bet they just want to get out of that cryo bay.
Unfortunately, their cryo AI appears to have been irreparably damaged.
If only we knew how this thing malfunctioned. It might help us in fixing it.
I do not know. I definitely did not murder the cryo artificial intelligence or anything like that. Ha ha. I had nothing to do with it. Isn't that right, Commander?
Sure.
Of course Robot Beta had nothing to do with it. He is a straight shooter. He would never harm another machine.
That's right, you fool.
What was that, Robot Beta?
I said, that's absolutely right, I am merely a robotic tool. As for you, Commander, your loyalty has been noted. You will be my friend? We will keep each other's secrets.
I have an idea. Every tool action consumes multi-gel, and I just depleted mine by firing at that alien intruder. If we find some more multi-gel, we may be able to use my laser tool to cut the human out of the cryo bay.
That sounds dangerous. I do not wish to risk the human's life. We must be careful.
Sounds like a plan. Oh, one more thing. I brought with me a 3-pack of overdrive batteries in case of emergencies. With one of these babies, we're capable of instantly finishing any in-progress task. Let us know when you want to use them. Now, let's figure out how to get more multi-gel so we can get you out of that cryopod.
Ask for a status report for a list of available robots and commands, Commander.
Status report.
There are new tasks for us to try, looking around in the cryogenics airlock. Would you like us to begin doing that?
Yeah.
Well, I can see a poorly repaired cryo deck. Robot Beta really needs to take more pride in his work. I can see the rope I used to lower myself in here. Oh yeah, And I can see crates floating outside of the ship. There must be some useful stuff in there. Oh, and I can hear your heartbeat. Not in a creepy way. More that it's on a monitor screen. Da-dum. 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 It's like music. We can now examine the rope, examine the space debris, and examine the alien intruder damage. What's next?
What can I do?
There are new tasks available: examining the rope, examining the space debris, and examining the alien intruder damage. What's next?
Examine the space debris.
This is going to sound crazy, but hear me out. What if we did a spacewalk? If one of us unlocks that docking hatch over there, we could leave the ship and bring back some multi-gel. We just need a way of tethering the robot in question to this ship. A new task is available, Commander. We can now unlock the docking hatch.
So, do you want us to do that now?
Yeah.
I'm now done unlocking the docking hatch.
Next, you may want to consider examining the rope, and examining the alien intruder damage.
What do you want us to do now?
Examine the alien intruder damage.
Well, that alien might have been fearsome and terrifying and all that, but it was no match for me, was it? I'm pretty amazing. What's our next move?
What can I do?
You might want to have us examine the rope. Would you like us to?
Examine the rope.
My God, I'm a genius and I didn't even know it. We can use that rope I brought with me to do a spacewalk. We just have to reinforce it and fix it to a location on this deck. We have new options: reinforcing the rope, and attaching rope to the ship. What now?
Reinforce the rope.
To do this task, you could send Beta, that's me, or Alpha. Who should do it?
Beta. He's
Affirmative.
got the repair.
I will reinforce the rope using materials gathered from throughout this room. This task will take about 4 hours. Should we use overdrive battery to finish this task faster?
Sure.
Okay, I'm finished reinforcing the rope. Our best option may be attaching rope to the ship. What do you want to do now?
Attach rope to the ship.
To do this task, you could send Beta, that's me, or Alpha. Who should do it?
Beta.
Affirmative. I will attach the rope to the interior of this vessel once I have found a suitable location. This
Sorry, Jeff,
task
I
will
saw
take
Trinity
about 4
first.
hours. Would you like to use an overdrive battery to help me complete this task faster?
Yes. I imagine there's a limited amount of overdrive battery.
Looks like
Well,
we're
we get
ready,
three.
Commander.
Get 3 in the
Good
beginning,
luck with
and
your
then
space
you can
walk,
always get more.
Robot
But then-
Alpha. I am sure you will do us proud.
Commander hasn't selected which of us should complete the mission. For all we know, they might want you to do the spacewalk instead.
What is the matter, Robot Alpha? Are you afraid? Bork, bork, bork. It sounds like there is poultry on board this vessel. Bork, bork, bork.
Ugh. I hate it when he gets like this. When you're ready, Commander, just instruct one of us to perform the spacewalk and we'll be on our way.
Here are some new things we could do: perform a spacewalk, and look around on the exterior hull. Any thoughts?
Should we keep going, Jefferson?
No, I think that's fine. I mean, we already there's enough to talk about.
Yeah, there's absolutely a lot to talk
What
about here.
now?
So tell me your thoughts. How did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, I was just like walking through and like remembering like all the times where we had decisions to make. Yeah, so I think I guess like it's a good with that context, like, so we wanted to make, I mean, first thing, like, this was our first game that we kind of tried to do with, voice. And also we even though it was, originally like one of the APL launch titles, and you can see from the graphics, it did have graphics from the beginning, but we felt like, it should be playable without the screen as well. So it's actually, we thought about it like first without a screen, and then we added some graphics to it.
I really like the images that you put up there, especially like they absolutely complement the experience, shows you the different tasks you can do, the different robots you have, their status, and the aesthetic is really cool.
Yeah, we actually worked on that. Like, this is like, again, our first title at the company at the time. It was just me and Chris, like just the two co-founders, and those graphics were made by a design agency in New York, in Brooklyn, actually, called Work & Co. They're like really cool. Like they've done a lot of like amazing stuff, but and they're kind of like friends to us, so we work with them on those graphics. And the writing was done by Greg Buchanan, like the guy who did the story mode for like No Man's Sky. So we kind of tried to partner with the best to make the experience like better. That was kind of like part of the goals we had. But yeah, so we're kind of making a game where potentially you would only use your voice, right? So no screen. I mean, in this case you have a screen, but we tried to design it for like, okay, what is a game that would be interesting to play and would make sense to play just with your voice, where you don't actually see anything. So we came up with this idea of like, okay, you're frozen in a spaceship and you can't actually move. Therefore, the only thing that makes sense for you to do is to speak. And because you're there, like, you can't actually see anything, but the robots will tell you what to do. And that's why, like, the UI, it's not like a camera like showing things. It's basically like more or less some sort of, you're just seeing some status of what's going on. We try to abstract the idea that you're not actually looking at things because you're frozen somewhere in the ship. Yeah. So that was kind of like more or less the beginning, the core of the idea. And yeah, from there, I think, the initial sequence that you saw, like, first thing is like, he asks for your name, and then asks for, it's some questions. I mean, we also were very aware that for many people that might be their first game, because it's a new platform and, the different things. And we didn't want to, and not a lot of people were used, particularly 2 years ago, or, a year and change ago, like, people weren't that used to giving voice commands more than like simple things like what's the weather and things like that, right? Mm-hmm. So we tried to simplify the beginning, like we tried to streamline the beginning of the story with like very simple interactions. So like, what's your name? Everybody knows their name, right? And then that's the very first thing you say in the game. Also gives a little bit of familiarity. And then there's a lot of like yes and no things. And then he asks like, what's your color, and what favorite color, and things like that. It was meant to be that kind of ease people into the story, so they would get comfortable with voice, using their voice for stuff. Like, we didn't want to, particularly shock people into like having to make complicated commands like too early. Yeah. But we actually have a lot of like, we didn't realize this at the time when we started, but eventually we stumbled into this thing. Like, our commands are actually quite powerful. You were telling the robot to do stuff, and then you'd have to pick one. But you can always say like, send beta to do this, and it would work as well. Oh, okay. Yeah, so we actually put a lot of effort into like making like natural language work as much as possible. And of course, it's a impossible battle to win, because like humans are amazing at coming out with like new ways of saying things. Yeah. But it's a losing battle. But like we really did our best, like, in trying to figure out like ways to make it natural sounding. And also we didn't want to have this very branchy. We wanted to feel open, like what you could do, and that's why most of the time you ask like, what do you want to do, rather than like, do you want to do A or B? But if you fail at picking an answer, like, the game will actually narrow it down for you and say like, hey, well, we can do this or this. And then if you fail again, then it will say, well, how about we do this? So we do try to kind of guide people, but we try to leave it open in the beginning. To have this sense that you could do different things, and yeah, a lot of players do what you did, which is basically just say, what can I do, and then they kind of get a little bit of an update, and then they pick one. We also did things like I said, when there's only one choice, at the end of it we prompt that choice for you. So I say like, oh, we could do this, do you want to do it now? Because there's only one choice, so like, why would you go back and ask again? But those are all like things that we built. Like, none of these things were kind of there, right? So we kind of had to like eventually build it slowly. Another funny thing to mention about that, so like I said, we did these kind of questions in the beginning for because we wanted like to be simple things that people knew how to answer. What's your favorite color and different things like that, so people would be comfortable. But like we do get a lot of people who thinks that we're trying to steal their data because it's like, what's your name and you're trying to build a profile of me, and we're like, oh my god, of course. I mean, sign of the times, right? But that's not what we meant. But
do you handle someone saying, I'm not going to tell you that?
Not. I mean, at those times you have to do it. Later on, I think there's choices where it doesn't matter, so it doesn't. But yeah, in the beginning, you do have to go and say it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gotta pick something because yeah, we're trying to kind of teach you stuff, so it's a bit more guided in the beginning.
It did do a good job of teaching me that I could say, what can I do to pull up that dashboard, see the different status of the robots and the outputs I have.
So, yeah, that's actually got another good point that I wanted to make. It's like so you notice it's all TTS, right? And I think part of the reason why we did that is because we come from like a free-to-play live service type background, and we wanted to use that in our games, meaning that we wanted to put the game out and then see how people are playing it and then adjust based on their behavior, right? So that beginning, particularly that sequence that you played, like we rewrote that like 100 times. And we couldn't do that if it was like voiceover, because like then we had to basically kind of go like, okay, let's go and find the people who did the voice and re-record and whatever, right? So we went with like poly voices. But they're also like poly voices are not, I mean, they're really good, but they're not perfect. So it does sound a little bit stunted. That's why we picked robots. So, a lot of the decisions were done based on the tools that we had available. So like, okay, we tried to make a game that would fit the space that we had, right? The play space that we had. Yeah, so that particular, there's a lot of like teaching that goes on in those moments. And there's things like, yeah, we just got this thing. You can use this for that. But if you want to get more in the future, just tell me how, and just tell me this or whatever. So like we do a lot of teaching, so it's a little bit heavy, like those first minutes, like a little bit heavy in like teaching you stuff. Mm-hmm. But hopefully these are the things that we, once you pass that sequence, you can just like play.
Yeah, chat here was also really liking the visuals. They were loving the snarky writing. I thought that was funny. That was definitely like my first takeaway from when I started playing the game a bit ago. Was the humor in the robots. Reminds me of like Portal.
Right. Yeah. There's some element of it feels a little bit like that. Yeah. We also tried to play on the fact that the poly voices. So we have like there's a British. You saw there's like a British sounding one, and then there's like an American sounding one. So we tried to build their personalities around that. So beta is a little bit more like, oh no, it's like the British one, and the American one is the one that fires, and it's more like, let's go guys. So we tried to play a little bit on that, like, because I think that like people also like pick up on those things. Like it helps to build the character in their minds a little bit better. But it was definitely, we also put a lot of work into like that, like the character creation and the expressions they use. So they always call each other by like robot something. So they don't call each other like, hey, alpha, or they always say robot alpha, robot beta. We just created this as like, this kind of like their protocol of communication. So there's a lot of like things, even in the language that we put, just for the character building.
Yeah, and it really reinforces the fact that those poly voices are robots, right? Like I hear the Brian poly voice in this game, and I compare it to another game that uses Brian poly voice, and it sounds more robotic here, even though did you actually do anything to make the voice sound more robotic, or is it just really
there's a tag on SSML that's called like roboticness, and we just added like 10% to that. No, I'm joking. but it's funny because so the point you make, like a lot of like good games are like smoke and mirrors, right? It's not that the tech needs to be amazing or the AI needs to be perfect. It's just like you gotta put people in the right mindset. And yeah, so like you think it sounds a little bit more robotic, but really like there's no reason for you to think that,
I do think the visuals also kind of push into that. It keeps with the robotic aesthetic and
yeah, it does help us do the Jedi mind trick. That's right.
So coming from the freemium model in mobile, how did you apply those kind of learnings to this game?
Yeah, I mean, you can see the game has, the robots do stuff, and the stuff they do costs multi-gel, and the game explains a little bit. You saw like, oh, there's multi-gel, we use it for everything. We got to find more. We try not to be terrible about it. So we do give you often, like, you get one multi-jar every hour. So if you kind of log back very frequently, you can get like as much as you want, basically. But yeah, obviously, if people want to buy, multi-gel, which is what we sell in the game, they can buy multi-gel as well. That's the one purchase we have in the game is like different packs of multi-gel. But the other thing we did, which you noticed, like, there's a time in between tasks. So if you start a task, and it might take a few hours until it gets done. So that's another thing that went into our mindset in the beginning. Like, so we looked at how people use these devices, and it's basically like, at the time, right? Again, this is like middle of 2018 when we were working on this game. And we looked at it, and basically it was like, okay, people are using this in the morning because they want to see the weather and the traffic and whatever, and then maybe the news, and then they check it again in the evening. So we designed the game not to be played like for 4 hours in a row, but to be played in like 5 to 7 minute chunks, a couple of times a day. So that's kind of how we designed it. So basically it's done like, so you do some stuff, and then it says, okay, we'll be back in X hours, right? Like 4 hours or whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of like for you to say, okay, good, I can actually go to work now, and then when I come back home, I'll check in, right? You don't even need to spend the money. Like if you're playing it in like this, it's kind of normal rhythm. So that's another decision that went into it.
So we have a couple questions from chat here. From Adila, we have, how do you gather feedback from players to know what works in your gameplay and what you can improve?
Yeah, so I mean, this game, we did a lot of different things. So the first one is like when it was in development, we had friends playing, and that actually taught us like a lot of interesting things right off the bat. But like one of the things that taught us very strongly was like when you showed the game on a device with a screen, like people can't do anything else other than look at the screen and then just do whatever it says on the list, right? So in the beginning, there's not a lot of branching, so there's only one task. But later in the game, there's multiple tasks, but people will always pick the first one. It's kind of amazing, like how visual we are. So if you see a line of stuff, we always go for the thing. Like we almost don't choose because it's there. So a lot of people in the beginning, they said, "Oh, it's actually more fun without screen because I can actually think for myself. Like there's no pressure of like looking at the stuff." So that was like a lesson that we learned, and that's why we used that to design the UI. Like some of the early designs for the UI had more information on them, but we actually took a lot of it away because we thought that, okay, this is too powerful. Like we got to use this like sparingly. Yeah, so we had people coming in and playing, which is really helpful because you see them in real life. Like, and in the beginning, every session would give us like 10 things to fix, right? Like just people doing. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot this, or they said this. Of course they're gonna say this, and there was like it's super useful because they're in front of you and you can see it. We also use Pulse Labs, which is a company that's in the ecosystem that does some user testing, so they get people to play and generate reports and stuff. That was actually super useful as well.
Oh.
And we also use the beta testing like facility, so you can actually send the game to invite people, and then they can play like before it's out. So we use that a lot as well.
How did you find beta testers?
I mean, we're from games, so a lot of people game makers. So in our case, we did we tried to do more from like I picked a lot of people that I knew that were good at games and said like, okay, these guys are actually going to give like game feedback. They're not going to give like usability, like actual player feedback, but they're going to look and say, oh yeah, this feels right, this was wrong, and it's a different type of feedback than having an actual player come in. So I used more for that, but you could use for players too, right? You can have like on your website a sign up form and then get their emails there and then send them the invites over email. So you can be creative about it.
Cool. We've got another question here. Do you use any particular tools for script writing and keeping track of dialogue splits, etc.?
So yeah, I mean, for the first game we didn't. It's all like XML files. It was like super painful. Also the writer. So basically the way it worked was like in the beginning we kind of created the core of the story. Like this is more or less what the characters are. This is like the situation they're in. And then we brought Greg in, which the writer, and then he kind of made it like sing. But also like he was working on docs or just sending like as a Word document or like a Google Docs or something. And then I would have to go pick it up and then put it in XML, add the SSML tags and do all this stuff. So it's actually a lot of work. I would not recommend that to anyone. It did save the problem of keeping the dialogue in control because it was in version control. So we just updated and you always had the latest and we could go back to the previous one or whatever, just using source control. But It was a very kind of technical approach. It was super painful. It worked, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend to anybody. Like there's better tools, and Skillflow Builder, which is the Starfinder guys are talking about. Like it's a much better tool for like getting the content in than nothing, which is effectively what we used.
Although of course that didn't really exist at the time, right?
No, yeah, we basically like looked around, and I guess there were some content tools like that, but they were too limiting for what we wanted to do. Like I said, a lot of the sentences that you get back from the robots are constructed in real time. So if you come back to the game right now, the game will not give you like a recap because you just played, right? But if you come to the game like 2 days later or 2 days from now, it will give you a bit of a recap. And if you come back like a week from now, it will give you like a longer recap. So we're always trying to look at the context where's the last time this guy like played and what were they doing, and then we kind of build the kind of sentences we give to you. We pick the tasks, like the tasks that we recommend, they're all picked in real time as well, based on like what's the highest value thing you could be doing and maybe a couple of choices. In the beginning, we just try to list everything. But again, if you list on audio, if you list like 5 things, by the time you get to the 4th, people forgot the first one, and they always pick the last one because that's the only one they remember. So we try to like kind of learn to kind of limit the amount of stuff we would offer to people, and do that more intelligently. So again, and again, it would be hard to do that with like none of the tools at the time allowed it to do is like we had a lot of logic involved.
Okay, very cool. And what language did you choose to write the script in? So, Hida Simon, are you talking about spoken language or programming language? But for both of those, which spoken language did you start in, like locale?
We started with English. We eventually added like Portuguese and Spanish, which is another test that another challenge we wanted to do it, like to do for ourselves is like, okay, what would it take to kind of actually localize this thing? And we found out it takes a lot, but it was worth it. I mean, this is a big game too. It's like 45,000. There's only kind of like, let's say the first chapter of the game is in there, and it's like 45,000 words approximately.
Wow.
There's no scripting language. So again, we wrote like there's a bunch of SSML that then gets consumed by directory structure and some Java code. So it's not very, I would say, user friendly.
Okay, cool. Budgie's asking about working with Amazon and Google. So you have done a bit of work with Skillflow Builder, which actually maybe this is a good segue to go into the next game, which you have created with Skillflow Builder.
Sure.
Open 3% demo. Open 3% demo. So I'm going to play the demo version of this skill, if my Fire TV wants to cooperate.
Who should the investigator of our group be?
You mentioned he uses Java for that previous game. Ooh. Repeat?
Who should the investigator of our group be?
Oh. It looks like it saved a bit. Me.
Interesting choice. Let's begin.
In this test, the roles of the candidates will be the member of the resistance, the loyalist, and the coward. Do you want me to go over the instructions for the traitor again?
Yes.
This test is called the traitor, and we have placed you together with 3 other candidates, each playing a specific role. Your job is to find out which candidate is the member of the resistance. You will ask them about one another, but their behavior will influence what they tell you. The member of the resistance will claim that all others are traitors, to deflect attention from themselves. The coward will swear by the innocence of everyone. Now, to make sure you have been paying attention, tell me, will the coward say that the member of the resistance is a traitor?
No.
Precisely. The coward doesn't want to anger the other candidates by calling them guilty, and so will say that all of them are innocent. And the last candidate is the loyalist, who knows who the member of the resistance is, and will always say the truth about their fellow candidates. Those are the 3 roles: the resistance member, the loyalist, and the coward. Would you like me to explain the behaviors again?
No.
You'll be questioning Alice, David, and Samuel. Each randomly assign one of the 3 roles. Who do you choose to ask? Alice, David, or Samuel?
David. Does this game change it up every time, too, who the traitor is?
Of the other
Not in the
candidates,
story.
which one do you want to ask David about? Alice or Samuel?
Samuel.
Samuel is from the Resistance.
You can say status report anytime to get a reminder of what each candidate has said, and it won't cost you any points. You can say, I'm ready to answer, at any time when you have figured out who the Resistance member is. For now, let's just continue with the questions. Who do you want to bring in for questioning? Alice or Samuel?
Kind of ask Samuel about Alice.
Sam can't do skills, but I can help.
Oh.
Whom do you want to ask Alice about, David or Samuel?
So, there is a Samuel L. Jackson experience, and it seems like I might have hit that. Ask Samuel about Alice.
Sam can't do skills, but I can help.
You can ask.
Samuel. We...
Yeah, he went into the Samuel Jackson thing. So we had those reports.
Sorry about that. Open 3% demo.
Skip the instructions now, at least.
Your progress is saved as you play, so you can leave and come back safely at any time.
Welcome, friends. As you may have guessed, you 3 have been assigned together. Have you chosen an investigator? Your call. We'll support you either way. Who do you think the investigator of our group should be?
Actually, go home. Let's talk about this. Sorry that my device wasn't cooperating here, but I think that we saw quite a bit of new things that you've built here. I noticed there's the web app that's loading on the. I noticed higher quality audio outside of like just straight SSML. You're kind of mixing the two.
Yep.
And then that logic puzzle, of course.
Yeah, with the second game, like we wanted to do a couple of things. So we basically wanted to see, okay, we learned some stuff from doing the Vortex, right? And things that worked, things that didn't work as well, et cetera, et cetera. And then we wanted to kind of push forward. One of the areas that we wanted to push was like a little more like gameplay type things. So, there's a story and you can see like, we kind of put you in that, or that demo has like a little bit of a dialogue between the players talking about some stuff, and then they ask a question, then they go into a test. And then the test, you can actually play the test inside the story, but you can also play outside of the story in like a leaderboard format. So you can play the test, get a score, and every day you get a score, and then that generates a weekly score. Then you go into leaderboard, and depending on your position, leaderboard, you get some rewards. So we wanted to try like some like more logic, and not just logic, but like memory and different like types of puzzle. Like what kind of puzzles would make sense to do with like voice and audio and things like that. And there are things like, like you listen to these guys and you interview and see who's lying, who's telling the truth, and this is this kind of stuff. So that's one of the things we wanted to test. The other thing we wanted to test is like, work together with like some IP, in this case, like the 3%, like I got in touch with the lead actress of the show through like some friends in common, and then she was really excited about doing something. So we kind of started working on the game, and then we talked to Netflix, and Netflix was on board, and we kind of built the game around on an existing world where people are doing these tests and getting scores, and that's kind of why we also picked this IP, because it fits with what we wanted to do, is like a collection of games and then some sort of ranking. So like in the series that only the 3% go to the different world and whatever. So we wanted to kind of do something similar. And yeah, it does have the interactive story part, but it also has these new like more gamey parts with like a leaderboard and things like that. And yeah, you saw the graphics. I mean, we were almost out when the new web stuff started like to show up, and we were like, oh man, like but we actually kind of managed to repurpose like this version that you saw. We just put it live in last week, so it does have the web API stuff on it. We love it. We think it's like you can see when you say things and things animate on the screen, like APL like used for the Vortex is like super limiting. Like it's basically like you can do some pages and not a lot of like animation. The animation you can do is very limited, but Web APL it's more like a traditional HTML5, so you can do whatever you want almost, and then that is a lot better, and we're kind of much happier with like so we jumped on the opportunity to kind of use that as well. And yeah, the VO you picked up on. So we also wanted to try like, okay, if you want to make a game using, this game was more about characters and not robots. So we felt, okay, maybe we should do voiceovers. We also had the lead actress, so she does her own voice on the story, and then we kind of had some other people for doing the other voices. But that was also another thing we wanted to try, like what it's like to make like a big story game using voiceovers and stuff. So we kind of pick our games based on like, okay, where we want to push the envelope next. And then see what else we can do.
Yeah, I mean, this game is another great example of working within the limitations of this technology. Like, what is the gaming experience that makes sense for this now? And you really did a great job of pushing the envelope on a lot of these things.
Yeah, you can ask the Skillful Bidder team about that too, because I think we're the biggest problems, because like I mean, Skillful Bidder is like a really good tool. When we used it, we love like the ability, again, on this one we actually use Skillful Bidder to manage the script and all the gameplay and all the stuff. Like so it was actually a lot better. Like we were able to bring a bigger team on it. The previous one, like I said, was mostly me and Chris. And then this one we had like a larger team working on, and those guys were able to kind of jump on it quickly because it's easy to use, and there's like a visual editor. Even the writer itself, like he wrote the story using Skillful Bidder directly, so I didn't have to kind of go and pick his document and put on SSL or whatever, like, which again is like I'm super happy about. But yeah, that stuff was saved us a lot of time. But yeah, it was a huge game compared to like the average thing they use. But yeah, we kind of pushed it very far, which is what we tried to do. But yeah, we based on that new tool, we kind of figure out, okay, where we can push this to the limit.
Yeah, very cool. So did you build an integration for Web API for games with Skillflow Builder then, with like an extension or something of the sort?
It's a good question. I'm not 100% sure how we did it. Maybe I should check with Chris.
Okay.
Maybe if maybe he can answer if he's on the stream.
Well, I'll save that question for Ezra on the next
Ezra would
stream. Tomorrow we're gonna talk to Ezra about that. So I mean, he's a Skillflow Builder expert.
Yep. Yeah,
so,
he was very helpful to us. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Budgie Voice asks, did you approach Netflix or did they approach you?
So we like I said, I think this is a little different. The way it started was like we met the actors, and then we together talked about making a game, and then we together went to Netflix. So it was, it wasn't me going to Netflix. It was like me and the lead actress on the show going to Netflix, which is obviously a little different.
With a bit of a prototype too?
No, we just had a concept at the time. Like we kind of created a little bit of the concept. After they were interested, then we kind of started building a little more, and we kind of had a prototype at some point. But in the beginning, it was more just the idea.
Okay, very cool. Hey, Chris from Doppio, welcome to the chat. Oxygen Box asks, high-profile properties, do they help in any way with promotion? So did you have better skill discoverability for this one, perhaps, or something else by having the 3% brand?
Yeah, I think so. I think in the end, like we'll have with a similar amount of time, this game got more players than the Vortex. So I think there's obviously there's still like in different timelines, but I would think that's one of the things we actually wanted to test, and I think it was successful.
Okay, very cool. I definitely heard about the 3% challenge first before hearing about Vortex. So I don't know if that anecdote says anything or not.
Well, yeah, I think it does, because the show is like reasonably popular in the US. It's not like it's more like a cult, but they still have like a big audience. It's obviously big in Brazil, but it's also big in the UK and a bunch of different countries. It's like one of the most popular like non-English language shows. So I think it did help like to get some people to notice like when it came out.
And in that experience, which sorry again that it didn't work, and I cut it just because we only have about 10 minutes left. So if you have questions, please go and ask them in chat. But I like your use of the web API in that you didn't do anything crazy with it. You don't have insane animations happening that are distracting, but you do use it to reinforce the information that the customer has, that the player has, without being intrusive. So in that mini game, you see the arrows of the information that you know, and it's color coded appropriately.
Yeah, like memory help. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then in the full game experience, which I encourage everyone to check out, but I really like that you've weaved those mini games in a way that it like thematically fits with the show very nicely, with the interactive story kind of tying it all together. So I think that's very cool.
Yeah, we that actually took a lot of work to trying to figure out, because we knew we wanted to do both things, right? But we didn't want it to feel like too separate. So we do have a mode, but we also wanted to enable, like, if you just want to do the story and you don't want to do the leaderboards and stuff, that's fine. You still play the challenges inside as part of the story. Mm-hmm. And if you don't care about the story and you just like the challenges, you can play that too. Like, you can come back every day and play a challenge and then have a weekly score and things like that. But we really try to like marry both of them. So the story is part of the some elements of the challenge are like inside the story, and then also, like, if you want to unlock the chapters of the story, you're gonna do some stuff in the other game. So we're trying to like connect them a little bit to make the most of it.
So when you mention chapters here, and then also given your prior experience with ISP, how did you apply that to this game?
In this game, we took a bit of a different approach. So we have the story itself, like, you don't pay for anything; you can just like play. But to advance in the story, you kind of have to do more or less well in a multiplayer based on. So let's say to unlock chapter 8, you got to go and do have some sort of score in the weekly challenge or something. So we kind of drive you in between the two experiences. The story itself, like I said, there's no ISPs in there, but and the other one, again, you can play without spending, but there's a limit of free times you can play per day, and then if you want to play more times, then you can buy some tokens to kind of replay. And if you don't like the challenge of the day, because we do have 6 different challenges, like 6 different like mini games, if you will, like that you can play. And if you don't like the particular one you got on that day, you can change to another one. We kind of schedule them on a week, so it feels like a challenge. But if you like, you can kind of cheat and then change one of them. And that costs like a token. But again, we do give those out for free. So it's not like you have to pay. Like, if you do well in the leaderboard, you get some free tokens as reward, and then you can kind of have more control over your game. But also, if you want to buy, you buy, So we kind of give people both choices, but we try to be good with like offering you enough free stuff as well.
That's a really interesting model. So you have the competition aspect as a way to unlock more information, like more of the storyline.
Yeah,
it's very cool. It actually looks like I had your Twitter handle wrong, so thank you, Trey Less, for pointing that out. It should be fixed now. It's at Doppio Games.
Yeah, that's right.
So Synthetic Hog really wants to know, can you guys make a better Fortnite?
Fortnite?
I don't know what a voice-based Fortnite would look like. But...
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like the Fortnite, obviously it's a lot about kind of multiplayer and community and the excitement of playing together and things like that. So I think we really want to do those things. It's a little tricky now because we can people can't talk to each other inside the game because the voice is basically like being captured. Like, you talk to the assistant and then the assistant deals with it, but so there's no way to kind of send audio to other players. I assume that's going to evolve over time, right? And at some point, maybe we can do like in-game chat and things like that. So I think if you think of Fortnite at the core is like this experience where people get together and do some fun stuff for a few minutes and do like we can do some we'll be able to do some form of it in the future. Today I don't think it's possible, but we're definitely excited about the potential to like go and play like in that sandbox.
So yeah, is that where you're thinking along the lines of for your next game in the multiplayer space?
Well,
next
so
boundary?
the two things that really excite us about right now is like one is multimodal. So like so like in Vortex we made like we really designed a game like, okay, you don't need this, you can play this even without a screen, and then we kind of added like the APL graphics and things like that, and it was one step right with the visuals. The second one, you see there's more animation, but even that game, like the web API came like as we were almost like at the end, or like I think we might have even have released the game when we heard about it the first time. So we didn't design the game with it in mind from the beginning. For our next title, we would design something with like visuals in mind from the beginning. So like what can we do that would be fun to do, but already thinking about animations and things like that, right? Because even though we're super strong believers in voice as like voice as an interface is like super powerful. It's like fast, convenient. It's a very very good way to transmit information like from between people, right? So I'm using it right now, and we're using it right now, and it's better than if we were typing on the stream, like this is a lot faster, and you can pass the character and different things. So there's a lot of good things about voice. But just audio as a feedback mechanism is a little limiting. It sometimes can be slow, and you can see that a little bit when we're playing Vortex. Like you say something, and then you gotta hear all the audio back, and it sometimes it makes it a little slow. I think the more we have the ability to say something and then see the world change on the screen, and that's how you get a feedback. And maybe there's audio too, but like it doesn't have to depend on having like a long string of audio being played back to you. You say something because we're very visual animals as well, right? The same way we speak, like visual is like how we get a lot of our information. So I think that is like really exciting because we don't want to fight with human nature, like we like to talk and we like to see. So I think those we want to see like, okay, how can we make the most of those things? So that's one of the things that's really exciting us.
Right. Even here, we're just two talking heads on the screen to everyone, but it's multimodal. Like we're moving around, we're using our hands. There are visuals in addition to the audio, and while it's not like directly relevant, it really helps that experience.
That's right. So, we can add the interpretive dance to our voices.
Jeferson, the interpretive dancer. So one thing I'm very curious about here with what you just said, how does designing from the ground up with multimodal in mind change the experience for, say, headless device players? So those on the regular like Echo Dots and those sorts of devices.
Yeah, that's like we don't know. Like that's a good question. Like I think even if you just think about what I just told you about like designing a thing where you talk to it and the thing reacts to it in real time, like how many things have you seen that do this? Like there's not that many. It's not like the one of the things that is hard for us, but it's also exciting, is that I can't look at like, if I was making a mobile game, I can look at like, a billion other mobile games to see how people are doing things and then get some best practice from here and there, right? On voice, yeah, there's a good, voice cues there, but honestly, like nobody has made the definitive voice thing yet because, we're still working on it, right? So I even, I don't try to look, well, obviously I play the stuff that's out there, but I try not to like be so like, okay, let's do exactly what these guys are doing because, there's a lot to figure out still. And yeah, I don't know. This is like a kind of blank canvas, and that's kind of why it's exciting. Like just the fact that the screen reacts to what you're saying. Like, so some things maybe you don't say back, but some things maybe you still want to say back. And then like which ones do you pick? How much animation you want to see? Like I said, sometimes too much animation is distracting and might confuse people. So even figuring that out is already a lot of work. Yeah, and the implications of like, okay, what happens if you don't have a screen at all? Like, how do you even play? I don't know. Like these are going to be like difficult, but exciting things to do.
Well, I'm excited. Keep me posted. Keep the community posted on what you end up making next.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we try to be good about posting what we do. Like on our, we have like a mailing list. So if you that's like one of the ways to get. Just sign up on our website or follow us on all the social medias, and then we'll share as we have more.
Correct social medias are now there. So as we're pretty much at time here. So as some closing remarks, what advice do you have to skill builders getting started in voice games, or those who are already out there building them now?
Yeah, I think one of the things that makes talking specifically about games, right? Because I think that's my thing. I'm not going to try to teach people how to do apps, but the best games are not the games that have the best tech And yeah, sure, it's nice to look at like some really well done 3D graphics or whatever. But some of the best games have been the games that like made you believe and made you feel something. And I think like for that you don't need like amazing tech, and of course it helps, but the tech that's out there right now already, like there's a lot of good things it can do. So I think one thing is like really familiarizing yourself with the limitations and the powers, and checking out, okay, these are all the things this can do, these are all the things that it can't do, and then trying to use that to fuel your design. And I mean, absolutely go look at other people's games, but like I would say like it's also the time where you should just like look at yourself and try to come up with your thing, and then what is it? What new thing you can bring? Like I'm really excited to see what other people are gonna do. Like I'm not the kind of guy who's like, oh, I don't want to give my secrets because I don't want competition or whatever. I honestly think this is a really exciting space, and I think there's gonna be new types of games that we never played before, and it's going to be amazing, and it's going to change gaming forever. And I really want more people to do it so we can get there faster.
That sounds awesome. All right, everyone. The action item here is to go make some Alexa games, make something new. And thank you all for coming. Thank you, Jeferson, again.
Yeah, thanks again to you guys for setting this up. It was awesome. Like I really appreciate you guys doing that for the community.
So we'll see you all on the next Games Week stream tomorrow at 10 a.m. Bye.
Bye, guys.